Hello everybody. The current running theory of what's going to happen right in the stock market and obviously the property market is this is how supposedly is going to play out according to people I follow. So I'm not a financial advisor or analyst whatsoever. I still have my day job and I'm keeping my day job because I haven't been all that good in predicting things, but I kind of have. In any case, it's not about me, it's about what's going to happen. That's what everybody would like to know. The theory is that the Fed, okay, so we've got this inflation. Inflation is real. Most inflations that happen, especially like in the 70s, were the quote-unquote real inflations. I mean, as if this is not real inflation. Let me explain. Again, according to people I follow, this inflation is due to shortages, due to lack of supply chain breakdowns, deliberate or otherwise. In China, locked down the largest, one of the largest ports, if not largest ports in the world. Lockdown, closed, no exports, so supply chains completely wrecked, and so lack of supply, and there's a still existing demand, and the prices go up. So what is so that's not a normal inflation. A normal inflation is when there's a speculative inflation where people think the prices will go up, and they bid things up for different, things, for once, and number two, when there's an income increase. Right now we're not seeing anyone getting paid more money. If anything, they're lucky to keep the job. But in any case, no one's getting any decent pay rises to support that inflation, because if you haven't got money in the pocket to spend it and to pay more for things than you paid yesterday, well, whether you think it's not going to be there or whether it's not there, you're just not going to be able to pay for it. So that's the real inflation. So now that we've concluded or agreed, if we conform to this theory, that this is not a real inflation, what the Fed is doing and the central banks around the world, including Australian Reserve Bank, they're raising interest rates, because in the past one of the tools in their toolbox to stifle inflation was to increase interest rates, so the theory is that by increasing the interest rates, this crazy demand that is fueling the inflation is going to stop, because it'll just be too expensive to borrow, or more expensive to borrow money. But the problem is, remember, this inflation wasn't caused by the actual demand, but more caused by, or actually probably only caused by, lack of supply. So they're not going to stifle the demand. Well, actually they will further stifle the demand, whatever demand there was out there, not a speculative demand. So they're going to stifle that. So such a weak demand is going to be now even curtailed even more, which means that they're going to make a big mistake. Market Sniper, somebody a long time ago made a comment thinking that we are from the same country back in Europe. Not quite, but not too far away. He did also talk about, this is one of the people I kind of put in the basket of people I follow, and he also mentioned this, that, and I'm really subscribing to this, that the Fed is going to, or the central banks around the world are going to continue to raise interest rates, and they'll probably be scratching their heads why the inflation is not stopping, because again, this is a different kind of inflation, and they're going to keep going until you think they'll realize this very early on, that it's not working, and they stop jacking up the rates. But they're not. They're going to think we're not jacking up the rates fast enough and strongly enough, and they're going to continue to do it until they actually kill the stock market. Is obviously tanking at the moment, but more importantly the property market. Speaking of which, there's a bit of a view for all of us there, and yeah, it's all property everywhere, and it's all leveraged. See, this is the thing. You go to the supermarket, you mostly buy your food for cash, or digits that are already there under your name in the bank. Means you got the money and you buy it. Maybe using credit card, sure, no problem. That is technically debt, but you're definitely buying houses. These things, you're buying them using leverage, mortgage. So your mortgage cost goes up. All of a sudden, people can't borrow. I mean, the math. People can borrow less than they could yesterday, and all of a sudden they're not able to pay so much for property. Now, obviously, different properties will be affected differently. Somebody who brings the money, maybe dirty money from overseas, will doesn't care about interest rates. They got cash, they need to launder it, they'll do it, and they'll just buy it. So multi-million-dollar mansions will still be going, I'm sure, if they can get money across into Australia. The other people, the ordinary folk like us, will go to the bank and realize that they can't get the loan to pay the house to some owner who bought it in the good times with the low interest rates, but expecting to get the same, or obviously more for it, but there won't be demand. There won't be people who will be able to buy it of him, because again the interest rates have gone up. And so the conclusion is that the central banks will go crazy. They go nuts with trying to jack up the rates to stifle the inflation. They're going to be unsuccessful, and they're going to again continue and really kill it completely, kill the economy before they realize that, oops, this doesn't work, we better stop and reverse. So that's the running theory. That's who are the people, the market sniper, the Martin Armstrong. I would probably not mention all of them, because believe it or not, part of this prediction, and not necessarily the technicality of how it's going to happen, but that we will see the downturn in the stocks and the property, at least for a little while, maybe finally this time. It comes from even some of the people, astrologists, I know, and the dates that are being mentioned that big things might happen is definitely by the end of this year. Something, whether real, whether made up, could happen starting from August, September. I know this is sounding a bit out there, but let's just put it that way, that if nothing bad happens by the end of this year, and we hope for that, then the astrology hasn't really predicted it, because what they're currently predicting is some sort of a calamity. They're saying this is the pause in the lockdowns and what have you. So we might not have necessarily the lockdowns per se, but something else, something real or otherwise. How could I have even forgotten to mention the special military operation over there in Europe, as far as the supply chain interruptions? I mean, it's a perfect storm. Again, whether made up or actually happen organically, I can't tell you. You're gonna have to make up your own mind, and nobody knows. They know, we don't. We're not they. So definitely, this inflation isn't your typical inflation, which means that the jacking up interest rates is only gonna kill the economy, stock market, and bond market, obviously, and housing market all at once, perfectly. And before they realize that's not working for them, they're going to kill it, and then they'll have to reverse if they can even do that, or just say, oh, well, we tried, we're gonna have to do a reset.